morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you all very much for coming along. My name is Jeremy.
I'm Aaron.
We'll be facilitating the next couple of days here at IndieWebCamp Düsseldorf 2017. Who's been to an IndieWebCamp before? Okay, quite a few. Who's here for the first time? First time IndieWebCampers? Excellent, good, nice mix. Also, I'll give a bit of a background to what's going on. Well, I guess first of all, there's the IndieWeb itself and what that's all about. It's actually a very simple idea, which is probably have your own website and publish on your own website. At one time, that wouldn't have been very controversial, and these days it's about the most disruptive thing you can do is decide to publish on your own website, which doesn't mean giving up using other services like Twitter and Facebook and all these things. And part of what we do at IndieWebCamp is figure out how to get the best of both worlds, how to have your own website and that be what represents you on the web, but still get use out of all these other services, get use out of the social networks that you don't want to give up on, right? But mostly it's about basically having your own website, publishing there, and having fun, having a bit of fun on the web. You want to give me housekeeping on technical details of what's going on?
Yeah, so we'll be here for the next 2 days. We have a couple of rooms in the back for breakout rooms. The format of the next 2 days is demos and intros here in the morning, and then we'll do sessions, an hour-long sessions for the rest of the day, where we'll make the schedule this morning. And tomorrow we'll be creating things and building things on your website, and demos at the end. We have a couple of community things going on. There's an IRC and Slack channel, so if you're interested in joining, if you're not already in there, it's a great way to keep in touch and share links throughout the next couple of days, and also keep in touch afterwards. It's IndieWeb on Freenode if you're in IRC, and if you're on Slack, you can actually go to IndieWeb.org, the website, and there's a join link in there. It's actually chat.indieweb.org/Slack. We'll get you into the invite, but it's linked from the homepage. We're also recording and live streaming the introductions and demos tomorrow, so those will be up on YouTube after we're done here. And
So that's the format. So there's a nice mix of discussion and action, I guess, at the IndieWebCamp. I always find I get quite fired up by the discussions, and then I'm itching to go by the second day and actually make something or design something or try something out. And what's really great is that you're in a space with other people who have specialist knowledge in some area and can help you out. I find I get an awful lot done at an IndieWebCamp. And coming into it, quite often I don't know what I'm going to be working on the second day. I'm just coming in like, I don't know what I'll do. And then something will come up in the first day as we're discussing stuff and having one of these sessions where I'll get really excited and I'll realize, oh yeah, now I know what I want to work on day 2. Or realize there's someone you can help out and show them how to do something or help them get something going on their site. So don't worry if you don't know what you want to do yet on the second day, the sort of action day. By the end of today, you'll almost certainly have something. Okay, so should we maybe give some examples, some demos of stuff?
let's do quick demos.
Okay. So I said my name's Jeremy. My website is adactio.com. Let me show you my website. Fairly typical sort of personal website. It's got like a blog part, right? The journal. I host my own links. Used to use things like Delicious and Magnolia and things like that. It never really worked out in the long term, which is one of my reasons for having this whole IndieWeb approach is longevity. If I'm responsible for hosting stuff and keeping stuff alive, then I've only got myself to blame when the site goes down. Whereas if I put everything into a third-party service, any day now they could be writing that blog post where they say they're really excited to announce they've been acquired by a large company and you've got 30 days to get your data out. and what I've been doing sort of over time at IndieWebCamps is adding the ability to post on my own site, but then syndicate out to other places, which is a kind of a core idea of the IndieWeb. There's this terrible acronym, POSSE, publish on your own site, syndicate elsewhere. So here, like my blog posts, I can syndicate out to Medium because there's a Medium API and you can send a blog post. A few years ago, I started publishing little notes on my site, which are basically like tweet-size things, and they get syndicated out. So this one's gone out to Twitter, and because it's a photo as well, I can send it out to Flickr, and any other services like that where you want to have maybe a copy posted. So there it is. The same. I posted on my site, and it shows up on Twitter. Because what you really want is that when somebody makes a comment or a like or something on the copy, you want to get notified of that so that you can at least know what's happened. And you can see that's happening here with I've got the likes, I've got the share showing up. That's all thanks to a technology called web mention, which is deceptively simple. It looks like it's going to be complex, but if I could get it set up, then I think anyone could get it set up. And part of that was just using a service called Bridgie, which will kind of take care of handling all that for you, so that when people make comments on Twitter or retweet or anything, you'll automatically get notified on your own website. It's really, really nice. It gives you kind of the best of both worlds, where you can feel like you're hosting your own content, you're in charge of all that stuff, and yet you're not missing out on the conversations happening elsewhere. I'll maybe tomorrow I'll end up doing a bit more messing around with that kind of stuff. I probably don't need to demo any more than that, I think. Aaron, why don't you tell us a bit about your website?
Yeah, so this is my website, aaronpk.com, and like Jeremy, I have my homepage has pictures and notes and things, and the last thing I actually added most recently was my Foursquare check-ins. I wanted to have check-ins on my website for a long time, and it always seemed like a very complicated thing, and I finally just had a moment of, what if I just did it this really simple way that was a lot dumber than I was originally planning, and now it's done, which is great, and it's really fun to have these on my site. So it includes the venue name and a picture, one or more pictures if I post multiple pictures, and I really like how the little things that Foursquare tells you about your check-in show up as comments on my check-in, and that's one of the reasons I like using Foursquare still. Is it tells you like, you were last here in such and such, or first time you've checked in with this person, that kind of thing. They're fun. The fun thing about the check-ins is I actually set it up as a service that anybody can use to get check-ins on their own site from Foursquare. So you can actually go to this app, sign in with your website, connect your Foursquare account, and then it'll start posting your check-ins to your site, including those comments. So that's pretty fun. I'd be happy to help people set that up if you're interested. It's probably all I'll go into on my site for now. But so why don't we do some intros from the rest of you? If anybody has a website and something they want to share, no matter how simple, come on up and pull up your website on your computer and say hello. Basically just introduce yourself and your website and something that you recently did on your site or something you like about it.
So good morning, I'm your friendly photographer, and I have a website since last year's IndieWebCamp in Düsseldorf. Before that I didn't have one, now I do. It's basically a WordPress website, which sometimes is not available for reasons I don't understand. Okay, Basically, it's just it's not too personal. It's a collection of galleries because I take a lot of pictures. And what I do mostly on the website is print it and add some funny animations and stuff like that. And what I really like about the website is that it pulls likes from Flickr. Wait a moment. For example, you can see, okay, this one is not that popular on Flickr, but you can see that if people like it, they show up here. I thought the same would work on Instagram, but it only pulls the comments as far as I know, which is a bit sad, but it's still okay because if I like the pictures, then other people don't necessarily have to like them. So, maybe in the next days, I will add some pictures of these events in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Is there a plugin to do the?
I use Bridgie actually.
Oh, yeah.
And the IndieWebCamp plugins for WordPress, which come in a bundle of different sub-plugins,
Excellent.
which were developed by the community. I think that's it.
Who's next? Don't be shy. Just go out, show your website, say what it's built on, or something like that.
Same story as every year. How do you get the address bar? That's a dumb question.
Doesn't must be full screen.
Good morning, I'm Yoshi. This is my website. It's built on Typo 3. Probably some guys of you know that. But the story I'm telling every time on IndieWebCamp is I'm not content with it anymore because it's kind of too complicated for me. I am and was working on a set of libraries to replace that. It's pretty simple based on Markdown files, but I actually didn't work on it for like a couple of months now. Maybe I'll start that again. What I did recently is I started publishing IndieWeb events. For example, this little workshop I'm going to run with Jeremy next week.
Nice pimping.
That was mostly because I needed something to like publish somewhere to make people aware of the events. What I was working on as well last couple of months is kind of a meta-parser for micro-informations, including microformats and HTML microdata. That's almost, the second generation is almost finished. I might finish that as well today and tomorrow. And there's one thing I would like to discuss maybe today or work on or keep continuing working on is we started something in Berlin last autumn that was like working on personas for onboarding more people to the IndieWeb community. And we kind of stopped that on the last IndieWebCamp. It would be nice to continue on that because it's kind of important.
Cool. Yeah, I guess one of the ideas with the IndieWeb is that begin by solving your own problems, scratching your own itches, getting things working, and then think about, okay, how can we allow other people to get the benefit of these tools and these ideas? And yeah, we've probably got far enough now with scratching our own itches that we could start to really think about helping other people get that same independence. Who else wants to show one? Go for it.
Hi, I'm here. Probably somebody knows me as Paul Vincent from Twitter. And the reason I'm here is because this is my website, and this is going to be short, because that's everything I have.
Okay.
And the first contact I have is what I'm looking for is I don't like Flickr anymore, so I'm hoping to get some place where I can push my pictures on, and maybe this my website would be a nice place. And, so nothing to see yet, but maybe tomorrow.
Excellent.
My name is Niels Leen here, and I created this website, HTML5 test, and basically it runs a whole bunch of feature detection tests on a browser and tells you which features are supported or not. And also I created this website, which uses browser detection to see which browser you're using. And lately I've been playing with hardware, and I created, let's see what it is. Come on. A pixel art display that's connected to your mobile phone with a web app that allows you to draw monsters, and also show notifications like the mail is there or the washing machine is ready, but mostly to draw monsters, and it's hacked together, uses 3D printing and laser cutting and custom PCBs, and it's just a lot of fun.
Fun is good. Thanks, Niels.
Good morning. My name is Oliver, and like Yoshi, I have the problem that I don't like the existing CMS too much, and so I basically started writing one of my own. And this is also the reason why there's no actual content, because I'm writing the system right now, which is probably not the best idea, but I'm a back-end software developer, so it's much easier for me to write code than content, and that's what is there at this time.
Yeah, I think we could definitely have a discussion about CMSs and rolling your own versus using something off the shelf and plugins and all that stuff.
Yeah. My name's Niels, another Niels. I think we have about 3 Niels. Like 2 people before me, I have basically very little to show. This is my webpage, which I made about a week ago in an hour before visiting a bar camp where Jan talked about IndieWeb, which was the first time I heard about IndieWeb. And I thought this is exactly the missing piece I was looking for, because I got stuck. My productivity has gone to 0 because all these possibilities we now have with all the social media and content things, you would think that you have all these possibilities, but actually that kind of paralyzed me, and I did nothing anymore. And now I'm IndieWeb, I think, can put me back on track. So, yeah. Maybe one fun thing that I did, just to show off, is this, which was a campaign by Digitale Gesellschaft in Berlin. A couple of years ago, there was a discussion going on with telecoms trying to abolish net neutrality. So they made this campaign, and I created this remixer to just use the advertisements and just type your own text in to get your message across. And I built this, and it was fun. Okay. So far, so good. Thanks.
I mean, actually, if your website is fairly bare bones at the moment, it just means there's so much more you can do
Exactly.
over the course of one weekend.
Hi, I'm Sebastian, and I make these. And so in Dutch, it's I just trying to mimic Aaron's site quite a lot. I had a blog for about 11 years, and I built, added a way to add photos that are also on Instagram. I use also post notes on Twitter, and even try to publish likes. So these, I don't know what it is, I believe this, yeah, it's an Instagram picture. Yeah, and then I have all these likes coming back from all the places where I put stuff. Yeah, so that's my blog.
Is it a whole custom-made CMS?
No, it's running on Kirby, but I did change quite a lot in order to get this stream of things. There's a database now that, yeah, so it's a database-less CMS, which I index with a database. Yeah, that's it.
Mark, you coming to show your website?
Oh, me, no.
Hi, I'm Vlad, and I have a site that I think has the least amount of stuff on it.
It's not a competition.
True, but what I actually showed off last year and did was I published all these trips for my family and people who need to know where I am, so I don't have to send them emails. And for example, they have all these details that last year I turned into H events and H cards and all these things. What I'm interested in is maybe improving my time zone switcher so that instead of New York, where the company that I work with is located, it tries to figure out the name of the current time zone and lets you switch so that it's for the viewer, better for the viewer. And another thing that I'll probably work on a bit more. Whoa, I have Let's Encrypt set up for my site, but I wanted to move it to a new server, and I realized that there's a bit of a catch-22. To have Let's Encrypt to verify your site, you need to have a site, but you can't set up a site with HTTPS all in one step. So I'm interested in doing this automatically, and I'm going to try to write a playbook for something called Ansible, which is a way to manage servers. So you can deploy it once, and first it'll set up your site without HTTPS, hopefully automatically verify with Let's Encrypt, and then turn on the HTTPS bit with the redirection. So yeah, I also have trouble writing content, so this seems easier. I'm sorry, I went into developer tools and it went full screen, so maybe command. Oh,
Just do that.
all right, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Vlad. Yeah, I think a discussion on HTTPS in general might be a good one. Seems like
Maybe also in general how you can authenticate. How to do authentication and security.
yeah, so a lot of you have been showing very bare bones websites where, oh, it's just, you know, a link to my Twitter and a link to my, you know, other place on the web. But actually that by itself allows you to do the authentication with IndieAuth, for those who are familiar with that. So on my website, I've got, links out to other places where I have profiles, right? Quite often this might be in the footer, right? This is me on Twitter, this is me on Instagram. And let me show you. So one tiny little thing I do is have that rel equals me, if you can see that tiny attribute in there. And then meanwhile over on Twitter, where you can put in your website, Twitter also says rel equals me, and that allows you to have an authentication flow, which is what we've got on the IndieWebCamp wiki, where you literally sign in with your website, and so it's going to go to this URL, look for rel equals me links, then go to those links, look for rel equals me links back to the website, and then authentication is handed over to any of those sites that happen to support OAuth. So for the IndieWebCamp wiki, we didn't have to build OAuth support. We just let all these services take care of it. And today I feel like logging in with GitHub. No, I'll log in with Twitter. And I think I should already be logged in. So it should just bounce me back. Da, 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 da. Hold on, I'm logged in as adaptio.com. So that side of authentic, that opens up a lot of options for basically being able to do complicated stuff without having to become an OAuth provider on your own personal website, which would be probably quite a pain in the ass, I imagine. Yeah.
Well, I can actually demo that if you want to see.
Oh, all right.
So if you do want to be an OAuth provider on your site, you can do a little bit fancier stuff. So I mentioned very briefly that I wrote this app for Foursquare check-ins, and it's called Own Your Swarm. So it's I need to make the homepage nicer, but here's the sign-in button, and it asks you to sign in with your domain. But what's happening here is because it needs to actually post to your website, it needs to do more than just know who you are. It actually needs your website to give credentials to this application that will allow it to post. So for this kind of thing, you do need to sort of become your own OAuth provider. And there's a lot of documentation on this on the wiki. So it'll help you walk through this and set it up, and it's not as bad as it sounds, especially because you can bootstrap a lot of this through other existing pieces. So what happened here is the app Own Your Swarm found my website that I typed in, and it recognizes that it supports IndieAuth, the OAuth part of it. And it found my website, and this is the URL that I use to sign in and approve apps. So you might recognize this kind of thing from Twitter and GitHub, where it says this app wants to post to your account, please sign in and allow it. And this is the app that I'm logging into, and I'm going to let it create and update posts. And if I type in my email and password here, it will approve that request and redirect back to Own Your Swarm. And this isn't my computer, so I can't log in because the password is in my password manager. But this is the sort of advanced version of IndieAuth, where you're not just identifying yourself to the website, but you're actually letting it post to your website. And once you support that, you can use all these fun apps like Own Your Swarm, or Quill, which is where I write posts, or the micro.blog iPhone app will let you post to your website directly from the iPhone app, and a bunch of others, browser extensions, desktop apps, whatever. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, we can do a session on setting up your website to support IndieAuth. It is something you can do in a day, because you have to write very little code, because you can use all these existing pieces. So it's not actually that bad.
Yeah, you start to see a pattern with the IndieWeb stuff, which is how do we not reinvent the wheel and get all the benefit of all these services that do things actually quite well. So with all the web mention stuff, it's the fact that, well, Twitter's a good social network, and that's where all the people are. So how do we benefit from that without reinventing Twitter? So web mention helps with that. And then I said, okay, I want to post to my own site, but actually the interface on Instagram is really nice for posting photos, or the interface on Foursquare, or the data on Foursquare is really nice for checking into places. I don't want to have to reinvent Instagram or reinvent Foursquare, so how do we get the benefit of that? And that's when authentication does start to come into it, but then effectively you're turning these third-party apps and sites into interfaces onto your own website. Right? I'm going to post to my own website,
by posting to Instagram, or I'm gonna check into my own website by checking in on Swarm. Kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Still have that feeling of independence. Like if it disappeared tomorrow, you'd still have all your own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I show something?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the other side?
You have HDMI on that. Oops. This works. Oh. Do you have a? Can you go to display settings?
Wait, where is it? Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Try. Let's try this. Try this one. Oh, there it goes. I saw it for a second. Yeah. Give it a sec. I think it'll pop up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So first, so I'm Lucas. First, I want to show my website, and just as you saw right now,
Let's try this one.
gone again.
Power has this. Oh, shouldn't be the problem. Okay.
Okay. No, it's a bit. Anyway, as you can see, my website is a bit broken. See, image is broken and some links don't work. And the reason is that is still my old website, and I had set it up with app.net, which, as you know, was a social network similar to Twitter, but with a bit more open API and a bit more sustainable business model. But as it wasn't sustainable enough, so the service shut down, and my website was very much integrated with app.net. So right now you see only very old posts. So that's one thing I might be working on this weekend. So just get a new website online that even works in the world without the service that it was built on. But actually, one thing what kept me busy lately, and I want to show it just to follow up on the IndieWebCamp stuff. I've been this is my site or startup that I'm working on. It's called Cloud Objects, and so the idea behind Cloud Objects is kind of a framework for developer tools, and one part of it is an API directory. If you're curious about this Cloud Objects, you can ask me. We can discuss that. I don't want to show it in much detail right now. Just one thing I wanted to show, and that is the sign-in form, because I built just to give you an example of how UI could be built, because it has these three options: sign with accounts like GitHub, Facebook, Twitter, and Google. It has the traditional sign with email, but at the same time it also has IndieWebCamp. And that's why I wanted to show it on my laptop, so I can show you the flow. So actually what this does, when I enter my domain, in my case it goes to indieauth.com, which has a link to Twitter, which is still active on my website, and then I can sign in. But this thing is actually built on distributed IndieAuth. So what it does is that it is no way built connected to the indieauth.com, but it checks for this authorization endpoint, and it so Yeah, so it uses whatever IndieAuth provider I want. And now when I come to this Cloud Objects dashboard, you see it also checks the name and the image, which, as you saw on the website, is broken from there. And I would actually be quite happy if like a few people could test that sign-in process, just because I built the IndieAuth client functionality from scratch, and I tried to build it into to a service as well. So if I could find out if it's working with all different kinds of websites, that would be very nice. And one thing why IndieAuth also makes sense for this site is because on this site it works also with domains, and for domains there's verification process, which you have probably seen at some sites, where you can do things like set up a DNS text entry or put some code on your website to verify it. But the nice thing about this is if you have signed in with IndieAuth, it recognizes it as your personal domain and already does the verification. So in this case, IndieAuth has these two purposes: be a sign-in provider and also do domain verification. And there's also a blog, and on this blog, that part is also set up ready for IndieWeb. So it has micro formats, it has some schema.org, and this is built on Jekyll. So if anybody is interested on these things, I could certainly help with that part as well. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show.
So what you want to test is whether it's going to grab the information from an H card on the page. Is that
yeah, if it finds the provider, and as I said, it is not connected to IndieAuth.com, but I have only tested with IndieAuth.com because it's on my website. So anybody would just can go to this site and check the sign and see if they can sign in, and if it fetches their information, so I can debug it.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Who else?
Let's go ahead.
Cool, so I'm Callum. I built this website. It's a hybrid between a Jekyll website and what you see on the homepage, which is server rented from PHP. So all the stream items, I've done a few bit of IndieWeb sort of things with web mentions, which so these directly go to any comments that you have at the bottom. A few other things, just like the location when I post it, and that links through to OpenStreetMaps. And also events. I run a homebrew website club in London, and recently started doing sort of H events. Won't come through on this one, but some of the other ones where I've got a homebrew website club, it will show people who have RSVPs. So I've tried to emulate some of the sort of experience that you have on Facebook with sort of the events information. Another thing is possibly something we can talk about this weekend is developing offline. So I've done a bit of work, used service workers before, which is quite an interesting way of looking at having offline content, so you still get something rather than just a blank page. And so that is something which would be interesting to talk about, how like social networks have developed offline experiences and how we can do that here as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the main points.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. I think there's definitely some event stuff would be fun to chat about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love service workers. So anybody who wants to have a discussion about that. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Who else?
It's not working? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, hi, my name is Tom. This is my website. It's a WordPress-based blog, basically, which I'm working on like for 11 years, like you said, and it's built up from scratch with my own theme, and it's, yeah, I have all this stuff that the IndieWeb can be about. I have the posts, I have links, I have photos, but it's a crude mixture of working with the WordPress stuff and pulling in stuff from Twitter and posting stuff out, and it's pretty much all messed up. So, like you said, I didn't know what I wanted to do on this weekend. I think I have to clean up everything on this side, and maybe in that step going with some new stuff like the CSS grids or Flexbox. I have a service worker on there as well, but my offline content is like, hey, you're offline and that's it, which is also a bit not so really good working. So yeah, this is my site, and let's see what tomorrow will bring on there. Thank you.
Actually, who is also going to IndieWebCamp Nuremberg next weekend? Then it gets interesting. Then we don't just have tomorrow, potentially. Like we could take on some longer term things and start them this weekend and finish them next weekend, maybe. If you want to be ambitious, it's an option.
There will be also a homebrew website club with almost 30 people on Wednesday. So.
Wednesday evening in Nuremberg. Okay, so anybody who's going to all three of those things could really get ambitious with stuff. Or you just do little things. Also fun. What I tend to do on the second day is figure out two things I want to get done, one of which is really simple and achievable, and one of which is more ambitious. And that way, if I don't get the ambitious thing done, I've still got something to demo by the end of the day, even if it's a small thing, like I added a rel equals me link to something, you know. That's my strategy. Who else has to show a website? This is great seeing all these websites.
Yeah, that's my website. It's basically contact me things for clients and my blog, which lacks in content. I'm not that an avid blogger or content creator or something, and basically what I'm trying to figure out this IndieWebCamp is what I'm gonna do with my webpage, because I tried blogging and obviously it doesn't work. So it's more than half a year ago. I don't know if anybody has any value in this. I do, but maybe sometime in the next days I'm gonna figure out what to do with the page. I also have some IndieWeb stuff already in there. Web mentions are working. I have the basic microformats set up, and service worker as well, which breaks everything all the time. And I have a lot of small issues with my website, and I'm trying to tackle them. Yeah.
Any more for any more? Last chance to show your website. All right, well, let's see how we schedule here. So what's going to happen next will be familiar if you've ever been to a bar camp, which is organized chaos, where we're going to put together the schedule for today, which doesn't exist yet. So we're doing great with time. It'll take a little while to put the schedule together. We'll grab a wall space. We'll grab some large-sized post-it notes. We'll do a grid of rooms and times. We've got multiple rooms, but I think we'll be fine with just the 2 back there. We could also have stuff in here if we need 3 rooms. Let's see how it goes. But I reckon this many people, 2 rooms will be fine. Try to go for hour-long sessions. And a session can just be sitting around the table discussing stuff, or it can be somebody explaining something that they have experience with to other people. Whatever you want. If you've been to a bar camp, you know the story. The only thing we'll stop. Remember to have a group photo. I think shortly before lunch. I think we're talking about having lunch at 1 o'clock maybe, rather than 12:30. We'll see. This is all pretty flexible. And then have sessions in the afternoon. So the next step is we're all going to get up, we're going to find a wall space, and we're going to make a schedule.
Do you want to explain the bar camp style for anybody who's not familiar with it?
So we'll have rooms across the top, times down the side, I think will be the simplest way to do it. And then there's a whole bunch of empty spaces. And there's something you want to discuss or have discussed, you put something on a post-it note, like the title of the thing, session. You put your name on there, hashtag, something like that, and you choose a slot. And then as more and more people start putting things up, we'll start to see commonalities, and we'll see, oh, maybe that could all be merged into the same session. We'll start to see that, I want to go to both those things that are on the same time, so let's move one of these things to a different room or a different time. And it sounds insane, but it always somehow works out. It's crazy. I think the best way to understand it is to do it. But it does involve everybody getting in and just getting in there and slapping things on post-it notes and putting it up on the wall. And we take it from there.
So when you are, we'll have post-its, and if you want to propose a session, make sure you write the name of the session and your name or website and a hashtag for the session. Those are the 3 things to put on the card. Session name, your name, and a hashtag.
All right. So let's do it.